Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness. Also here with Drew from Angelcake Entertainment Channel. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, here to talk about this split decision that happened on the Challenge 38 that's ruining our power ranking episode. Drew, how are you feeling?
I'm doing all right. I am cautiously optimistic about both the challenge right now as it stands, as well as what this power rankings episode is going to look like. So I'm excited.
You're
Cautiously
excited
optimistic.
because we have no idea what is to come. We are still going to be figuring it out. So we'll probably take some help and suggestions from you guys in the chat here. We have lots of friends in the chat. So Sophie is here. We also have Chris here. Hello, hello. Lovable Nikki, as always. Julia's here. Austin. Lauren, JL. Perfect way to end work and start the weekend with us figuring out our power rankings. But before we get to that, let's talk to, it was kind of a nothing burger of an episode because we didn't get a full-fledged episode. We did get a mini final. Now, did it stand out to you when I think it was Devin called it a mini final? Because it stood out to me, and I talked about it with Matthew on Wednesday, and then I was watching another challenge podcast, and they're like, we started mini final, and now it's brought into the show. So I'm wondering if it stood out to you, the terminology of mini final being something used by people on the actual challenge.
I did not recognize that it was something that wasn't said. I think that's where it's so embedded in us as the audience to call this kind of daily challenge a mini final, to the point where I think TJ and Devin both said mini final. So I guess that just went right over my head that this isn't normally called a mini final. So that's pretty interesting.
Well, it stood out to me, right? Like, I know I called it a mini final, you called it a mini final. All of us, as you're saying, the
Oh, yeah.
audience calls it a mini final, this type of task. Like, we saw it, I think it was one of the seasons with Teresa, like, they're running the mini final. We were calling it that. Just like, where it's kind of like really difficult. And it's kind of resembles of what they might be doing on an actual final. And so we've always talked about these types of dailies like that. But this was, to me, the first time that I noticed it being talked about on the actual challenge. Now, somebody did say in my chat that he said it on All Stars 1, I believe. I don't remember that personally, but I just felt that it was really kind of cool that something that the audience started is now being part of the culture of the show.
It is really cool. And to me, it kind of gets into the realm of maybe just a scriptwriter or somebody on production is kind of searching around the edit, watching or listening to different podcasts and getting a feel of like what us as real fans who are so zealous about the show that we're like making content for the show that we're not even really a part of. And they're kind of like dipping their toes into what the audience and what we label things or call things to kind of maybe mirror a little bit of everybody into it. So I think that's cool. I think that's really cool. I just didn't connect to it initially.
It stood out to me, but I can understand why it wouldn't, because it's something that's so common to us. We talk about these mini finals all of the time. So what did you think about this episode? Let's talk about the Tori and what's his name? Jordan and Nurys of it all. How did you find this? We start off the episode with them wrestling. We get a confessional of him being like, yeah, we're wrestling and we're cuddling, but that doesn't mean that I want to get back together. Then we see him laying up in Nurys's bed, and she goes and straddles him. And then they're flirting and cuddling on a couch. She leaves. She excuses herself. And then he seemingly comes over to her to have a discussion. And by the end of the discussion, he says in his confessional that he doesn't want to be part of the Tori show anymore. So what's your thought about the progression of their relationship in this episode?
I think it's really, really difficult. And to me, sometimes it makes me uncomfortable to watch, especially hearing so much so of what Tori has gone through at the beginning of this season, letting us know like everything that she had to go through to better herself, to get back into a better mental health after the breakup with Jordan. And mind all of us, let's keep in mind, they said that they had not seen each other for a year and a half. You were with this person, you thought this person was your person for life, and then all of a sudden you just cut, you're just gone for a year and a half, and now you're living with that person 24/7. Kind of like what Casey said about her brother. Oh, I just walk into the kitchen and whoa, my brother's here, I didn't even know he was here half the time. It's kind of like that with Tori and Jordan. I mean, you can't walk half a step without probably running into the person that you used to call or say that you love them. And now I think that I mentioned this on my Tiny Table Talk. There should have been like, they both should have taken the time to establish boundaries. Maybe not even if they were just talking with each other, but personal boundaries. Like, we're not going to jump into each other's beds. We're not going to see each other undress in front of each other. We should definitely not say, I love you to each other.
No.
Because it ultimately would come down to this. This is where we get this big blow up. If they would have taken the time, and I know it's pretty easy for somebody to say this when you're not in the middle of the show, you're not in the house, you're not dealing with that whole range of emotions in the moment. But if they were able to take some time to put up those boundaries, we wouldn't get this huge blow up and all these feelings. I mean, they're both, I think, going through so much internally that they don't know what they exactly want. So them doing this is sending mixed signals to each other, and they're not really talking about it. And I just think that everybody wants drama. I just don't know if I want this type of drama on my TV, because at certain points it makes me so uncomfortable. And it makes me think of the Challenge official podcast of Tori not being on it. And now I completely understand why she hasn't been on it, even though she's the picture of it. She's the co-host of it, quote unquote co-host. I wouldn't want to revisit any of this and be transported back weekly just after filming this and then living it and then having to go back over it again and again. Like, I would want to cut and run. Sorry, that was a long ramble, but
ramble away.
What do you think about it?
I mean, I totally agree. I feel as though at the beginning of the season, we thought that, or at least I did, that Jordan was kind of coming back as a little bit of a redemption tour. He hasn't been on the main season in many years. And, he just had done All Stars with Naya. And I just felt that like that was starting to rebrand him as being a good guy or whatever it was. And so he's back on this season. And I really thought that they had such a really good first moment, when she's saying like, I love you so much, like they're in the club and she's like, you knew that I was going to be here. I didn't know that you were going to be coming and I didn't get a chance to prepare myself. And so there's a lot of people saying that Tori is getting what she deserves, for what she did to him before. And I think it are actually completely different circumstances, especially for the fact that she had no idea that he was coming. And like, I feel like MTV kind of did her a little bit of an injustice here, because she could have had the option to say that she didn't want to participate in this, because Jordan isn't somebody that she wants to see moving on in front of her face after not seeing him and dealing with their relationship and the end of the relationship in almost 2 years. So it was interesting to watch just because I enjoy understanding human dynamics and how human beings interact with each other, and on a TV show like this, like what happens when you have to live with your ex who is moving on and you thought that you might be rekindling. Interesting. But it just also seemed really, really painful. And I'm not usually a big Tori stan, but I was supporting Tori in this moment. That I thought that he was being a little bit out of line. I think that he could have been a little more considerate, and the fact that he immediately was calling her names for the fact that she was expressing how she was feeling. I don't know. It left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth about Jordan in this situation, for the fact that, especially for the fact that I thought that he was coming on the season to really show that he's grown and become a little bit bigger of a person.
I want to make this clear that I felt like the edit was kind of giving him a really bad look, like from the confessionals and how he was acting. But he even says at one point, I'm still hurt too. Like, I have big hurt inside me, which then makes me think like hurt people hurt people. And I think both of these two are dealing with a lot, going through a lot, and then they just don't know what they want from each other. I mean, it's difficult hearing confessionals from Tori being like, maybe things are up in the air. He still calls the cat our daughter. And then Jordan's in the confessional being like, I'm kind of closed off. I don't know if I really want this. It did seem like the edit was trying to make him spiteful when he was like, oh, is it hard to see me kiss other people and move on? Is it hard for you to see that? Because now you know how I feel. And that's not great. He is a single person. He can do whatever he wants. And I think Tori did the right thing about walking away from it during the night and going to talk with Devin, her rock, her partner, not so much now, but her partner, her best friend, Dave. But it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look via the edit. And I also feel bad because now a third party is introduced into all of this, and that is Nurys. Whether it is something that they're trying to actually make happen with Nurys and Jordan, I don't think they're together at this point. Maybe it's just a fling inside the challenge house, and I don't think Nurys is looking for anything permanent even at this point. But it's just weird to have a third party introduced and then to hear that line of like, oh, is it hard to see somebody move on, when it's like, okay, this is a little weird. This is somebody else is involved. This is a third party. Like, there's a lot of moving parts. It's very complex. And it's one of those things where it's different than just having two exes fight because they don't like each other anymore, mixed with like two people that were engaged at one point and dealing with a lot of heavy stuff in between them. And this breakup was rough. I mean, this was not a smooth breakup whatsoever. And it was only a year and a half ago, which it's crazy to think about.
No, it wasn't. I thought that Olivia was giving good advice to Nurys, being like, hey, like, I would maybe reconsider and maybe take a little bit of a step back here, just for the fact that, you don't really know the extent of their relationship. I know that you're enjoying getting to know Jordan, but like, you're kind of playing with fire here. And I wouldn't expect necessarily Olivia to care, but Olivia, I think, is pointing out a good fact that like, hey, you don't necessarily want to have Tori be on your bad side. Like, I know that it's not like what tends to happen is the women blame the women for things that are their partners doing, but they're kind of also playing a game. And we hear Tori say that she can be spiteful. I could easily see her being spiteful and throwing in Nurys or going against Nurys or something like that. And she would clobber Nurys most likely.
Ooh, that's interesting. We'll have to wait and see if anything comes from it. But yeah, I just thought some of it was awkward, but I mean, it's definitely not looking good for them, friendship wise or relationship wise, moving forward.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna go very well for them at all. So what else happens this episode? I was like, Kenny speaks. I was gonna say to you to do. I was trying to figure out a game. We're gonna do something else instead. But the game that I was gonna do for you was see how many words you can make with the 53 words that Kenny said today. So Kenny said we're in a good spot just because of what you've done in the past few seasons and connections you've built. So I get to come in here without as much worry as a rookie. You know what I mean? Like a rookie team. Just my whole life. And he also said, we'll see, we'll find out. So I was like, okay, we'll make Drew have like 53 seconds, just try to make as many words as he could in 53 seconds using these letters, but there's actually 1,000. So it was too easy. So we didn't do that.
He said all of that on this episode?
Yeah, he said that this episode.
But it's like, that's not all from his confessionals, right? That's like,
he
just
didn't have
randomly?
a confessional. He didn't have
He had like two. He had two.
Oh, he did? I mean, I didn't notice his confessional, but I'll show you the clip.
I don't think he said one thing. I don't think he said a thing in one of his confessionals because it was the joint confessional.
A double. Okay, yeah. I was like, I don't remember him speaking other than this. Is this okay? He did say all of this. Hold on a sec. Us too, Casey. Us too. We always forget that your brother is here, and you as well. So what do you think?
Can I just say, like, at least Olivia and Horacio had like a more, I don't know, natural way of talking with each other when they were like, oh, let's go kick around the soccer ball or something like that. Where the Bananas and Nani one seems so like, okay, we need you
Talk.
to get together and talk together because something's going to happen and we need you to talk. And Nani's like just woke up. They're sitting by the pool. Bananas is like talking at Nani. And Nani's just like, I think she's like still rubbing her eyes and just trying to like understand, like, I just woke up. Like, it's 7 a.m. and we went to bed at 4 a.m. Like, why are we doing this? And then that whole conversation just seemed like a whole bunch of nonsense. And it's like, hey, just have a conversation with each other. And for brother and sister, they seem so not on the same page. They seem like they don't even have a good chemistry with each other. I don't know. It was weird. That's weird.
Well, and when she said something like, go through life together, it sounded like she's talking about like a life partner, like a fiance type deal. And I was like, this is your brother. Like, go, I don't know. It definitely seemed as though it was a conversation that the producers wanted them to have. And like, it just was executed in a little bit of an awkward way. I thought he was actually better with him being like, I think we're in a good, like, I felt that it was a little more natural, but I felt that she was more unnatural, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Especially since she's supposed to be like, the vet of the vets here.
And they love, because they don't have much to hang on to. Like, they haven't done well in the competitions. I guess they don't really talk strategy with anybody. They always keep coming back to the same thread of, we're the only brother and sister. We're the only sibling pairs. So they always bring up like, oh, my brother, my sister, my brother. Oh, I love seeing my brother. It's like, we get it. Your brother and sister. Talk about something else.
Please.
But no, never.
Talk about nothing. Nothing. I'm trying to set this up and it's like not actually working for me. Grr. Of course. What did you think about Hall or Nothing? So it was a mini final where they needed communication, strength, and endurance. Basically, it was a 6-mile course where there was 3 different checkpoints. They're going to be carrying a heavy plank, and the winner is going to be making a very important decision.
I thought that this was actually very interesting. I love mini finals. I love this type of daily challenge. I think it pushes everybody, and we as the audience get to see exactly where everyone stands, both in many different arenas and aspects of being partners. And with this one being ride or die, we get to see communication. I think mainly everything was built on communication, and we kind of got cheated out of not getting to see everybody do the third part and like a big race to the finish because Fessy and Mariah were so far ahead of everybody. But I thought that this was pretty interesting, and I think the more interesting part, like, I don't think the actual mini final was super enthralling, but I enjoyed seeing how people work together, how they didn't work together, and where the teams ultimately finished, to the point where you're like, okay, this went differently in some aspects than I thought it would be. And then in some aspects, I was like, oh, it kind of went exactly how I felt. I think more so where the placement of the teams were once it finally ended was what I was the most interested in.
Well, I mean, as soon as I saw the mini final, okay, wait, let's pause. Let's just go back a little bit and just talk about how Fessy was crying to Mariah about how, he's a 3-time loser and that he doesn't believe in himself. And she's like, I believe in you. I think you're amazing. And she's getting this pep talk and she's wiping away his tears. So at that point, I was like, okay, then it's going to be a mini final where they're both very good at endurance and they can carry heavy things. I'm like, Of course they're showing us that scene because Fessy is winning this mini final and is going to be making this big decision. So I pretty much knew that it was going to be him all along. Now it seemed to me like Bananas and Nani were throwing it the entire time, throwing the competition. Because the first thing, he had his terrible strategy with the barrels. And then after that, like, you see them fooling around, like he's pulling her on the sled. They can't seem to figure out. It's seemingly a very easy puzzle at the second checkpoint. What do you think was going on there?
I almost assumed that they're throwing it. I mean, my goodness, that was ridiculous. And I don't know. This just probably shows how safe they feel, how comfortable they feel. And I don't know. It's kind of like we're getting, again, I don't want to keep on saying the word, but I feel like we're getting cheated because some of the people aren't doing as well as we would like them to do, or they're not trying at all. Because no lie, I mean, if Bananas and Nani, who are a really strong team, well, in past seasons, they haven't shown it as much this season because they don't want to be seen as a really tough team and a really threatening team. But it just seems like even with a big old power on the line, they were like, this could put an even bigger target on our backs. And I mean, even if Nani wasn't into the idea at first, because she seemed to really get pissed off at him with the whole barrel scheme that he was trying to do. But I think by the end of it, she was on board and he was like, look, it doesn't matter. This is just going to be a twist and we'll just navigate it the best. We don't need to be the one in charge making the big decisions. I just think that's like, I don't know, to be so comfortable. It makes me want to see them at least sweat a little bit coming down the line, a little bit, just a little bit. They don't have to go home, but I just want to see them like
He
sweat.
wants to work for it a bit. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think with this twist, they become even more insulated and the rookies become a little bit more vulnerable. And that's, I think it's terrible. Like I obviously we haven't seen how it's going to play out yet, but it seems like if either side loses, there are more vets on the team than rookies, and the rookies are not going to be able to stop themselves from going against each other pretty much each round. And so for a season where we thought it was going to be ride or dies to the end, now it's just going to be vets till the end. And yes, I love the vets. Like I want to see them back. Not all of them all the time, but like I do think that the show benefits from there being vets coming back each season. But like you're saying, I don't want them to have a completely easy ride. I don't want them to be able to just pluck off the rookies who have been playing really well, that have been doing really well. Look at Nurys has won 2. I think if it wasn't for Nurys, Nelson would not have won those 2 dailies that he won, and they were pretty close in this final up until a point, which means that, hey, if they do get to the final, she could be a partner that he needs to have to be able to cross that finish line as team number 1. And so I just think that they robbed everybody of doing well in their duos. It's really unfortunate because I really don't see the rookies being able to survive.
Well, and thinking back to even just last season, once the season was split halfway through that season into 3 teams, I mean, CT was on easy street. I mean, he was already on easy street, but then putting him into a team-based game, I mean, no team was going to want him gone. They would want him on his team or their team or try to nerf him with bad players going to his team. But he was fine. He was kicking his feet up and he was getting to the finals regardless. And then ultimately the finals were swapped up multiple times. So it's going to be interesting how many players, even who played just last season, will assume that these 2 teams will be it. And they keep on throwing in rookies and rookies and rookies, wanting to keep the team strong, even if those rookies are strong and probably some of the strongest on those teams. They're going to nominate them and then I think there's some that will think that they're going to stay teams, but I'm going to be questioning that.
What do you think is going to happen?
I think that they could be brought back into pairs. I don't know how.
And so it's like if their ride or die is still there, they can go and join their ride or die, or they can choose another teammate, or like maybe the winning team will get to pick their partner.
Maybe it could be like that. I mean, a myriad of ways, but if you're already switching up halfway through this season, who's to say they won't switch up again? I mean, think about Bloodlines in season 27. I mean, everybody was in pairs. They went to 2 teams, and right before the finals, they got back into pairs with whoever was left in the game. So, I mean, if it's going to go along that same theory, right. I mean, who's to say that that's going to happen? But I'm sure some of the more experienced vets of Bananas and Nani are going to be thinking that exact same thing. Or they're going to say that there could be a swap back into pairs. So we want to keep everybody safe that we want to keep safe. And then on the other hand, there's going to be some.
Sorry, I was going to say Jordan might not have Anissa, which is great for him.
It would be incredible. He should be the one being like, we should get Anissa off that team as soon as possible, even though I'm sure that the other team Mariah is going to be like, we should keep Anissa on that team.
Absolutely keep Anissa.
Because we need that buffer there kind of vibe. But we'll see. We'll see how it'll be interesting, because there was some cracks that showed with some of these pairs from this episode, from this daily challenge, from after the daily challenge, that it's going to be interesting how the dynamics go with who wins into power, maybe even first, and then how the shots are taken and how even the eliminations are run. So it's going to be quite interesting, I think. Hopefully.
Hopefully it'll be interesting. I hope so. I mean, I want the ride or die teams to be riding together. What do you think about maybe Jordan running the final with Tori in the end?
How weird would that be? Because
it could happen.
That was their thing in Total Madness. They wanted to make it to the final with each other. They wanted to run it next to each other, and they were still together at that point. And then to be so many years removed, be split up, and then be coming back together, not on good terms, but running the final. I mean, both are workhorses. Both would push it out of their minds and work well with each other to get the win. I mean, I wouldn't say that I would hate it if that happened, if they were running the final together, but it would be pretty crazy. It would be surreal to watch.
It'd be so good. So Debbie is letting us know that Tori isn't on the podcast because she's filming the global challenge. Interesting.
Okay. I also think that she did call in for the first couple of episodes, and they're not doing the global challenge. They film those podcast episodes earlier because they get the screeners, and they're not doing them week of every single week. So I'm also going to put in there that my theory is that she doesn't want to relive a lot of the season and answer questions from Anissa or fans or anything about, oh, well, how was it with, no, she doesn't want to do any of that. So I think that's you could be correct, but also I think there's another theory in that as well.
I hear both sides, and maybe both are true. Willie wants to know, did Nelson and Olivia break up? I don't think they follow each other on social media. I don't know if they ever investigated a relationship outside of the game, but what we know of Nelson, he isn't really that great at relationships. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was just a showmance. But I think on her
season 5.
Yes, give it. Yes, he would be great on that. They would both be great on that. Willie says Nelson was flirting with Berna, and Ashley got mad at him about it. Absolutely. People are going to get mad, doing things in front of your face like that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just of course they're going to be upset. Some people are also talking about, hold on. Where is it?
That's a great callback.
Luckily, the mansion this season 2, Tori and Jordan situation would be worse if they were in the bunker from Total Madness.
Yeah. 1,000,000,000%.
1,000,000,000%.
Pressure cooker.
So the teams are split. Now, there's a lot of rumors that are going on about how it wasn't a snake draft and it didn't seem fair. So Fessy and Mariah had to decide on who they were going to be choosing. And honestly, I was trying to like Fessy more, but then he always just does something to make me dislike him. But how he was talking with Nelson, being like, oh, she's a rookie. I'm going to get who I want, what I want. She's not going to get the people that she wants. And I'm just like, wait, she's supposed to be your ride or die, and you immediately want to make sure it only benefits you. It doesn't benefit both of you. And then they had their deliberation, and they started off, and he's kind of laughing at her, being like, you think that I'm going to let you get a better team than me? I'm just like, I really, really didn't appreciate Fessy in power. I didn't appreciate Fessy, how he was speaking to Mariah. And it just really made me dislike him, even though he also was supposedly getting a redemption arc with, at the beginning of the season, talking about his name and how he doesn't want to be considered messy Fessy anymore. He wants people to understand like his heritage and his name. So what are your thoughts on how he handled their deliberation and team split?
It's rough. It was rough. I don't know. Did you see Mariah's tweets after this episode?
Hold on.
Yeah. Well, we'll read it verbatim, but I just didn't like it. I thought how different, and I don't know how many days it was between, because this is an edited TV show. I don't know how many days it was between with him like crying and Mariah being the nicest partner, just saying all the right stuff, all the great stuff that only a mom would say to somebody, not a best friend that maybe you go to the gym with a couple of days a week. But she even let him use her t-shirt or a shirt to wipe a tear away from his eye. And then she goes out and helps beast out this win. I mean, this mini final where they blew everybody out of the water. I mean, she said, thank you for Fessel for pushing her past her limit. They were working well together. And then hearing those tweets of how quickly things soured between the two, mainly on Fessel's side, I don't know. That was rough. I mean, it's getting pretty close to the point of no return with me and Fessel, to the point where it's like, I don't care. Like Zach was that way in like his first or second season on the show, to where I was like, this dude can't do really much redeemable qualities for me to like him really on any season. And Fessel's pretty much at that point. He's at the threshold, and he is just one snarky comment away from going directly in there.
So Mariah says this was on, I think she tweeted this. I trusted Fessy to be a good friend, but instead, when we were walking back from the mini final, I asked him if we could talk to make fair teams, and he said, I brought you here. I became super sick, and he said, quote, not my partner, not my problem. Wow. And then she says, the real tea will be spilled on Death, Taxes, and Bananas podcast. I defended Fessy's character so much to the other challengers when he didn't deserve it. He talked about me behind my back, making crazy statements like he carried me and many more.
Yeah,
I can't wait to. I've been like refreshing the Ringers feed, being like, where is it? I wanted to watch it before today. I'm like, where is it? It's been a week. Give me, like, Mariah teased it out already. We're all like waiting to watch this, and it hasn't come out yet. So you've been doing the same?
Yeah, I've been doing the same. I even waited to film my Tiny Table Talk so long on Thursday night, just waiting, because I was just like, come on, like, and then this morning it still wasn't up. So I was like, all right, well, I don't know what's going on, but hopefully it's going to be up soon, because I want to hear all of it.
Me too. Fessy, didn't he say, when do people stop using Fessy? Yes, want to be using Fessel. I've been trying, but I'm sorry, I'm failing at using his correct name. I'll do better. Oh, what? Now? Should we listen to it live?
Yeah, we're just gonna listen to it. That's the rest of the hour.
Yeah, exactly. We just listen to. I mean, I'm not against it. Not gonna lie.
We'll listen to it, and we'll just start putting people silently onto the power rankings and not say anything, and we're just like, this is it, everybody.
Okay, I also wanted you to listen to this, though, which is really annoying. Okay. With our guy here. Tell me if you can hear it.
The thing is, like, you could talk about your losses all day long.
I can't even hear it. What's going on here?
Oh, I can hear it.
You can?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I can hear it. And there it is. I looked at it. I'm adding it to my playlist so I can listen to it right after this.
Why can't I hear this, though, right now? This is so bizarre. Okay, you can hear this? Then I'll just play it.
The thing is, like, you could talk about your losses all day long, man. I've lost a million times on the show, too. So it's like, I just focus on, all right, that's in the past. Now let me go out and try to win the next one. And I'm going to do everything I can to win the next one. You know, I treat it like I'm not going to get another call back. Like, I treat it like Big Brother. Like, I'm playing to win this one. A lot of people are like, I'm trying to, get the screen time and the confessional count. I'm like, if I'm on the show and winning these challenges, the confessional count's gonna come. They're gonna be talking about me. I'm not worried about that shit, man. The thing is, like,
even his approach to the show makes my blood boil. Just shut up.
So who's he talking about though? Because he's like, I don't care about losing or anything. I just go out there and try to win the next one. Yet he was crying at the beginning of this episode because he wasn't winning a whole lot. I'm
know.
confused.
I mean, maybe that crying was out of order. Like maybe it didn't happen this week. Maybe it happened earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
Oh, so Danny says, I listened to the whole episode and he sounded so arrogant the whole time. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't hear it right now just to be reminded of what he was said, but I was reading the captions and I'm just like, it's just so frustrating because I do think he has a lot of qualities that could be a really good challenger. You know, he's good looking and gets the girls, you know, so he has that messy side to him. He has the stature and he has the stamina. He was able to put the countries in order. So there is some smarts going on with him as well. But like I don't know if it's his ego or what, but it really just prevents him from being likable. And that is probably the most important part of him being cast again. And like, for me, he's just not a likable person or a likable character on my screen.
I think I have to give him at least something for being how unlikable he is and him embracing it, because let's be real, with this vacation alliance that everybody talks about and how everybody is like friends with everybody, at least we can all like, or majority, not all, but at least a lot of us can come together and be like, man, Fessel is irritating sometimes. And we have that one central person that we can all agree upon is like, man, he's a good competitor. He can win some of these challenges, but oh my gosh, like, dude, just do something that's likable. At least we do have that villainous role, a villainous person in the house that can unite us all into not liking him, but he does a great job at it. I'll be real. He does a great job. I don't know if this is his actual personality, but he just like his form to it. He gets the women. He treats them not that great, at least not from the show wise. And even Colleen was replying back to Mariah as well.
I have that too. Hold on. Let me read that as well.
And I just think he does a great job, though. Like you said, at least he's competitive. At least he wants to win. He wants to do something in the game. Like, he takes this seriously, but sometimes he takes it way too seriously that it is just grating on me and a lot of the other audience members. That's just like, why do you act like this? Why can't you just be nice for like once? Be a human to another human being, you know?
So true. Hi, DJ Charisma, who says he can beat anyone on Twitter, and then his heart's pounding and he's terrified to go into elimination. I called that out as well. Like, my heart. He said it twice. Like, first he said it, I think, in his confessional last episode, and then this episode he was saying it when he was talking to. I know Nelson was there for sure. I'm just like, you're weak sauce, pussy chicken, level 3 for sure. So what Colleen had said, replying to Mariah, I don't know if it was that comment that I read, but one of Mariah's comments this week, she says, it's just sad how he fools people who really liked him. I'm okay with just having a good time, but I'm not okay with not being honest. I didn't know all this stuff from his past. That's not my business anyways. So I formed my own opinion is what she means, and learned my messy lesson. Happy face or smiley face. That's not great. Like,
No.
like he didn't really treat her poorly, but then she's probably learning more about him and she's just like, ugh, well, I learned a lesson. Hi AH said, so they hooked up in the past. I don't know if they hooked up in the house. I also heard somebody in I think one of my chats or comments said that Jordan slept with Laurel when he first got into the house. I don't know where the truth is there, or whether or not Tori knew about that and just let it slide and this was just another person. Like, I'm not sure what went on there, but there's a lot more mess A lot more mess.
Messy.
So Fessy is disingenuous. He's trying to fake things he can think of to get public on his side. Cry, feel sorry for me, but then he pulls crap and can't hide his backstabbiness. Yes, like I wasn't feeling it when he was crying to Mariah. I was like, I wasn't really buying it. Like, obviously, I don't want anybody to feel bad, and I can understand when people are really prideful and they're not feeding their ego in the way that they're used to. I can understand having a moment like that, but then he's just not redeemable after that. Like, he's just not a good person from what I've seen on the show. He doesn't treat people well, and he expects a lot from people.
Yeah, I agree.
So now that we've kind of talked through this episode, obviously, as anything that we've missed, we'll figure it out as we figure out these power rankings. Let's, I guess, get to it. I don't know how this is going to work out, but we will do our best here. So let's just set this up and get it done. I'm going to stop this and start this. I left everything the same, but we can obviously tweak because we have everybody solo. We have all the same tiers right now. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to work. So what do you think? Should we
nothing
start and then just...
Yeah. So you want to go solo? Do you want to just go solo and just see, like, okay, now that... Because we could talk about how, like, some people, now that they're not partnered up with who they're partnered up with, could be maybe lower on the hierarchy in the house or on their team.
Wait, say that again. No, sorry, I was looking at level whether or not it should be Crybaby or not.
I don't know.
Okay, well, think about it. Okay, sorry. Say what you're saying again. I got distracted.
No, I was just saying, like, we can do this, like, individually, talk about them single-wise, and some people will actually benefit from playing a solo game within a team, and some people, I think, now that they're not partnered up with who they're not partnered up with, now stands a very big chance of being thrown in very, very soon.
Absolutely.
If their team loses or is in... so I think we could do that kind of way of, like... Because normally we talk about where everybody stands from this past week's episode, but we kind of can't do that. We have to do it from the viewpoint of where does everybody stand individually now that we're moving forward and they're all split up kind of vibe. Call it Cry Me a River.
Pretty good. But we wouldn't even put him in that tier, I don't think, this week, though. So
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, not this week. But okay, well, let's just start and see what happens, and maybe it'll just unfold before our eyes, you know? So
okay.
You start.
I start?
You start. We all start.
Well, I'm going to start. I'm going to start off really, really easy, and I would put Kenny all the way at the bottom. I mean, dude has a guy.
Still have Cemetery by the Bar.
Are we doing?
It will be for when people are eliminated.
Okay. I would put him at wherever the lowest tier he can possibly fit while still being in the game, because now that he is away from Casey is his shield. I mean, Casey has Nany. Yes, Kenny will still have Casey rooting for him, but I don't know. I think if his team is going into an elimination, and if it is solo and it's a guy's day, I think his name is being said first by his own team. Like, there's no getting around it. If his team can vote in anybody, they're going to send Kenny directly in. And then now it's up to the other team, or however this is going to work, to send in somebody from the team to face off against Kenny. I don't think Kenny has a chance in hell not to see an elimination and to see multiple eliminations if he gets out of this. He's a rookie. Yes, he's partnered up with Casey, but I think he's dead in the water.
Well, now he is on the same team as Nany at this point. And Nany, when he was joining the team, was like, hey, brother, so I could see Nany keeping him maybe around for she doesn't really have that much room, though, because, like, the guys on her team are obviously Kenny, Jordan, Horacio, and Devin are the 4 guys on his team. So I do see Kenny and Horacio going at it first. I could easily see Horacio beating Kenny. So yeah, Nany can't even really save him because the teams are so small.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I didn't even think of that. I was like, you know what? When you started, I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna get me on this. But then you were like looking at the teams, and I'm looking at the teams in front of me. These teams are very small. I mean, to have to try to if people are gonna be able to vote, I mean, you're gonna need at least 5 votes. And after a while, those votes get sucked up. I mean,
yeah, it's done.
We know from Survivor, those
small
tribal
teams.
councils are really small. So it's gonna be tough, man.
So that's what I'm saying. Like Nany is not going to really be able to pull numbers to keep him, right? Like Nurys would probably do, if there's Horacio and Kenny, Nurys would do Kenny. Amber probably would do Kenny. Nany would do Horacio. Jordan would do Kenny, probably, because he really likes Horacio. Yeah, I don't think that he can get the numbers. Devin would do... not sure. Anyways, my point being is who's Kenny is right. Hi, Glenda. Thanks for joining us. I don't think that there's anywhere that he could go. Maybe scapegoat, but that's just too high for the fact that, like, this is the most words he said this episode. And, actually, no, I'm going to say that for a game.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nowhere else to put him. Where else does he go? If people are still saying who, he is built for comfort at the Clark Furniture Company level. Kevney is at the bottom. Sorry, Kenny. Who's next though? I mean, maybe we should just stick with their partners. So
yeah, we got
Casey, right? Like, do I not put her here? Oh shit. Oh yeah, she's here. She's here. See, I can't even
really
find
funny.
her.
That's
I can't
really
even
funny.
find her. I mean, she was a little bit more animated, obviously, this episode. I do think that she is pretty insulated. I don't think that she's not really stirring the pot, but maybe she's suffocating in cake because, you know, right now she has Fessy that's like choosing her first, number 1 female pick to be on his team. He wants to right the wrong of their previous final that they did together poorly, where I think she busted her ACL. Ouch. But yeah, she's not really specifically stirring the pot. I wouldn't consider her queen for the day this episode. So suffocating in cake, she's in a good spot, but she's not really doing anything about it.
I agree. I think she has a lot of friends on both teams to the point where even if her team loses a daily or two, she's not going to be in any real danger of being voted into an elimination by either team. So I actually think that she is in a really good position, especially being solo wise, because on Team Fessel, I mean, now that you're a team, you could look at her and be like, oh, she'll be a good team player at least, or she's strong, and have that padding in there. So yeah, I think that's a great place for her.
Great place. I did crack up as well, Glenda, when I was like, we don't remember him either. I'm always surprised when he speaks. Like, hilarious. And somebody was also really happy for me that I'm going to get at least a couple of points this episode because of them. Finally.
And nobody left. So nobody got their team like lost a player either. So that's great.
Well, I want someone to lose players because I want to have the most players left in the game. But who are you going to pick next?
I mean, there's some people that I'm very confused about here, but I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go with Chauncey.
Okay.
And I want to put him in the pop balloon category. I think there could be a case to be made that he could be down at the bottom near Kenny, because before the split, him and Amber were outcasts. Now they're being split apart from each other. So now it's like he's an outcast with no partner and no shield to get him. But from watching this episode, I feel like his balloon was popped more so. Like him being so defeated, sitting with Amber, the night before they get split up and he doesn't have any words to say. His head was down. He was drinking his cocktail and just he looks so defeated. I hope him and Amber are going to be able to survive this. I just think that Chauncey, one, is a rookie, and two, was already an outcast coming into or was an outcast throughout the whole season. And now he's going to be on a team separate and has to figure out how to be okay fighting against his girlfriend. Because if his team wins, then that puts Amber in danger and possible some eliminations. And the vice versa is he wants to do well for his team, but he would rather Amber not be in peril, I would think. So I think there's an emotional thing going on with Chauncey trying to figure out what to do in this game, but we'll see. But I just don't think he's very high up.
No, he's definitely not high up, and I don't think he's the Clark Furniture Company. I know that you were kind of teetering between that one and popped his balloon tier.
That is right.
I think that you have him in the right spot for the fact that it seems like he just keeps on getting more bad news. It's like, we hear him a couple episodes ago where he's like, she's the leader of the rookies and like, oh, she's really good friends with Nelson. And then Nelson stabs in the back. Oh, Michelle and her are really good friends. Michelle like says a kind of snide remark to her. Like, it just seems like he keeps on getting more information that it's not positive or beneficial for his game. So I just feel like he kind of keeps on getting knocked down again. And he hasn't been put in a position where he can prove himself on his own. So he's going to have to prove himself on his own. I don't know if he's going to beat whomever he goes against, because if he goes against Fessel, I can see Fessel taking him. Mary wants to see Fessy and Chauncey in a hall brawl. I worry for Chauncey there because Fessel plays a little dirty sometimes. So I don't know if Chauncey has the grit to be able to face Fessel in a hall brawl. Against Bananas, maybe he could win, I guess. Nelson, I don't know about that. So yeah, I just don't know who he would beat out of the people that are on his team.
Yeah, I just noticed that one, as you were going through the list, that his team is stacked on the men's side for a majority of reasons. And then two, he's the only rookie man on his team. Like, wow, that is not a good sign. Not a good sign.
Yeah, that says that he is going to be out first, most likely, out of the men.
Or be thrown in over and over and over again. Like, if he could take out some of these guys, I would be very impressed, and I would love to see it. But my goodness, he is going to be climbing up a steep mountain, I would think.
Good question, Christina. I don't know how tall Chauncey is. I would like to know. I'm assuming that Fessy is 6'4". I don't know though. You're pointing at me. What?
Sergio has
6
seems
feet.
to know the answer.
Okay, sorry, I didn't see that. I'm like 6 feet. Okay, this is tall-ish. But I think Fessel. No, well, I'm talking about compared to Fessy, who I think is 6'4", which is quite. Oh, I'm sorry, Drew. Never mind. But I'm talking about in terms of a hall brawl, going against someone in a hall brawl, right? Like, I don't know. 4 inches is quite a bit, So,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. Back to. So yeah, I agree with him though being in that position. I just do not see him being able to come out alive. And I feel like he felt safer in his partnership with Amber, and now he's by himself. It's just another time where his ice cream's being knocked out of his hand. So things just keep on getting worse for him. So let's talk about his girl, Amber. I mean, I kind of feel like they're in the same category here. She might be a little bit of a scapegoat just because if I'm looking at her team, I can see her being thrown in going against Nurys. So she could be scapegoat or the same tier in a better position than Chauncey. You could convince me either way. What do you think?
I initially thought scapegoat just for her, the way she's been treated on the show before, but we know she can win eliminations and she's not afraid to go into eliminations. And I mean, after Nurys, it gets a little dicey in who they would choose to go into eliminations if the team can vote in from their own team. So I would think that I would give her a little bit more of an edge and give her scapegoat on this one.
All right. I'm totally fine with that. I do think that Nurys and Amber are going to be going up for the first one when it's a girls elimination. I do feel like Amber would take out Nurys most likely, unless it's like an Uber puzzle type situation. But if it's anything slightly physical, I do think Amber has Nurys, even though Nurys has performed better in some of those, like in the mini final in the beginning and in the other one, the Peaky Blinders or whatever. The puzzle element is what helped Nurys stay in front, and Amber's not great with puzzles. But if it's like a hall brawl or something in Amber's wheelhouse, I do think that she will more likely take Nurys in an elimination. So I think that Amber is going to be the scapegoat, though, because I think she's going to go in every time until they get back with their partners or she goes home. So scapegoat. Agreed. That's where she gonna be. Who do you have next?
I guess we could talk. I don't know exactly where I'm going to put them, but I guess we could talk about the person that we were just mentioning over and over and over again from the same team, and that is Nurys. She has been incredible. She has been able to do the impossible and make Nelson win daily challenges this season. But we did hear, and I just thought of this while we were talking. Remember the one time that they got into power and she wanted to make a big move, but Nelson kind of was like, let's not make a big move. Mm-hmm. We got to think about the long game. And she's like, well, if there was a time where we are not together anymore, mm-hmm. then I need to know that I'm going to be well protected off in the game. And I mean, how foreshadowing is that? Now that all makes sense. That's the foreshadowing we want, challenge. We want it way far ahead before the twist happens. Mm-hmm. So that way, when this happens, we have a eureka moment of like, oh yeah, they did that. Not day of, let's hear from every single person, Vessel crying about not winning and then winning. We don't need that. For Nurys, I'm actually nervous. One, because she is a rookie on this team. And second of all, she's not affiliated with Nelson anymore. And yes, mm-hmm. Nelson is on the other team. If the other team wins into power, my worry is that Nurys doesn't have enough friends on the other side to veto people wanting to send Nurys into elimination. I mean, Olivia and Nelson would instantly want to save Nurys, but
Tori and Anissa will not. Bananas would probably side with Anissa. So mm-hmm. I just don't see. Yeah, I think that Nurys is kind of dead in the water a little bit.
I would put her next to or over Chauncey in the pop balloon category.
Yeah.
Just because she was the one that was most hesitant as well in the confessional afterwards. And looking at who she could possibly go up against, I like Nurys. I think she could win, but I'm just worried about who she could be going up against and what kind of elimination she would face off against mm-hmm. Solo wise, because solo eliminations are much different than paired. And I think if it was her and Nelson going down there together, she would feel a lot comfortable, especially with mm-hmm. Nelson's elimination record. But now that it's a solo game, I think I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I mean, she's just petite. And, a lot of these solo eliminations are things where you need strength. Like, even if it was like the fire escape, like, she's light, yes, but like I don't know if she'd be able to beat everyone else in the fire escape. Or if it's balls in, I don't see her beating Mariah and I don't see her beating Amber. Maybe Nany, but Nany has experience on her. So Nany might know a little bit of the strategy, get low, whatever. Like she might be able to take her in some of these head-to-head combat situations. So I am worried for Nurys. I think that she will more than likely be taken out her first time going down into the elimination. And yeah, like she was in a pretty decent place. And I do agree with the placement that you put her in. I mean, I guess I could say maybe scapegoat, but no, she had more power than Amber had this season. And it's kind of like someone stole her toys, knocked the ice cream out of their hands, popped her balloon. Like, she went from being in a decent position with her ride or die to having no agency pretty much whatsoever. So I think I agree with you with where you placed Nurys.
And before we move on, to think of another confessional just from this past week's episode of Olivia talking about the whole Tori and Jordan thing. I mean, that's going to play a factor, I think, when it comes down to voting, when people are looking for reasons. I mean, we don't think that Tori might kind of bring that up a little bit and be like, maybe we should send in Nurys. She is a good player. And also all this other stuff that's going on that makes me feel uncomfortable in the house. And Anissa's going to have her back on that front and get other people on that bandwagon as well. So Olivia did say that if Tori and stuff happens, then Nurys could be kicked to the curb.
Absolutely.
So
and
that
Olivia
could be foreshadowing.
can't defend herself against all these vets at this point. So
yeah.
Is there? There's the only rookie team left is Olivia and Horacio. Okay.
Yes.
So that means that there's just like tons of vets left. It's so annoying.
But that means good like matchups though coming up, you know, like there's so little.
True.
Yeah, true. So maybe it'll be good.
I'm just wondering though how we're gonna squeeze out these episodes. There's a lot of episodes left.
Yes, there is,
and not a lot of people. All right. So obviously, if we just did Nurys, we're gonna do Nelly T. I'm gonna put Nelly T. Is he a scapegoat? So, but he might be going in first against Chauncey. I don't know. What do you? I don't know. He's not queen for the day. He hasn't really been stirring the pot. He could be maybe suffocating in Cake for the fact that has Fessy wanting to work with him. And his team is decently stacked male wise, so they might last a while. Is he a scapegoat? No. I'm going to put him right now in suffocating in Cake, but not in as good a position as Case season.
I actually think he could be a scapegoat for the reason that, like you were saying, after Chauncey, I mean, if it came down to the team or one of the two teams having to say Nelson, Bananas, or Fessel, I just feel like if they have to come down to it, that Nelson's name would be coming out of their mouths way quicker. I mean, we saw Nelson kind of put up teams that have wanted to put him up or they felt crossed by Nelson. I mean, you got Bananas, Nany, Jordan, and Anissa who were thrown directly in or by their allies.
That's true.
I just think that Nelson has his whole record. Why he has so many eliminations under his belt and so many elimination wins is that he is the scapegoat in some aspects where he just gets thrown in over and over and over again. And now that we're in these two teams, if Chauncey were to leave, Nelson would be the instant clear vote by Bananas and Fessel, because Fessel doesn't want that to be turned on him and Bananas doesn't want that to be turned on him. And we talked about it. I mean, thinking of another scene, Fessel talking to Nelson being like, if I win and I'm in power, you feel that you're safe with me.
And I was now like, what a weird statement for you to make, Fessy.
Yeah. And I just feel like that's going to be the turnaround where it's like, if it comes down to it, Fessel's not going to try. I don't think he's going to put his neck out. He's just going to be like, as long as it's not me down there, or he thinks he can beat Nelson because he's beat him before in a hall brawl and he's hoping to get another one against Nelson if he has to go into elimination. So
I think though that he would be worried about backlash with Bananas, because I think that Bananas might be able to get the numbers to throw in Fessel. So I think that Fessy would fold. He would want Bananas to be on his team still to help them win. I think that he has more faith in Bananas than Nelson in helping him with a team win. So I can support your scapegoat positioning for Nelly T. Yeah, he's definitely going to be thrown in often. And I don't know if he's going to be able to make it to the final. So yeah, scapegoat.
Can I just throw this out there? If
Mhm.
it comes down to it, and it's Fessel's vote that sends Nelson into an elimination, is the redemption arc just completely like crumbled at that
Yeah.
point? Like, I mean, Nelson saved Fessel and threw in his love interest of Olivia. And if it comes down to it, and Fessel is the deciding vote of Nelson going into elimination, I don't want to hear it from anybody else saying if I'm like, I don't want to hear it. Like, Fessel is irredeemable, in my opinion, at that point.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Yes, irredeemable is correct. If he, I mean, we know that's what he's doing though. It's what's going to happen. He doesn't have any respect for his friendship with Nelson or Nelson at all, in my opinion. He doesn't have any respect for anybody, really. It's kind of all about what he wants and when he wants it and with whom he wants it with. I 100% see a world where Fessy's like, man, I had to do it. It's for my game. Like, I come here, like, I came here to win. I want to give myself the best chance of winning. So I'm sorry, man. Like, if things were different, I wouldn't do this to you, but, like, I have to. Like, and we're just like, whatever. So it's happening. And Redemption Arc is gone. Dan says, I think Nelson is really playing a careful game this season and not taking risks. This will definitely cost him. Yes. But one thing, though, I think is good is that he's had a little bit of power. So he's made a few more deals than he has in the past few years. I think that he's doing better this season than he has been. And so hopefully it's an upward trajectory future seasons from now. I know Fessel is saying that like he's playing for this season, not for future seasons. But Nelson's playing for future seasons. And so sometimes maybe it's better just to get the paycheck, the appearance fee, and you know, help the producers get whoever they want to win. Maybe sometimes that's the better deal, the better gig. So I don't know. We'll see.
I just thought of something.
Oh, tell me.
And it just came to me. I don't know why, but it just like hit me. What if this is like an All-Stars 1 type of game where whichever team wins into power will get to vote in somebody to go into elimination, and whoever gets voted in gets to call out who they want to go up against from their own team. Like, that would be
sick.
So interesting. I kind of want to see that happen.
I would like to see that happen. Is there a lifesaver?
I would like there to be, but then maybe the lifesaver is your ride or die and how persuasive they are if they can keep you out of elimination. But I don't know.
I mean, we're workshopping this.
We're workshopping it. Keep going in my brain. It's always turning.
No, but okay. So the only thing though is that the teams are just so small. Like after 2 eliminations, that it just take like 2 male elimination, it's done. I mean, I guess at that point it would just be at the final. I don't know. There's just not enough players and to make anything make sense. So
yeah, true, very true.
Well, speaking of that though, what do you think of do you think it's mercenaries that are coming in? Like, who are the people? Have you done your trailer mid-season shot for shot breakdown yet? What's going on?
I went through it today and I clipped a whole bunch of stuff for it, and I have another theory on that. But it's I don't know if I want to say it because I feel like it could be possible spoilers if I say what I think it is. But I have a theory on it, and I would say it's very close to the Alex theory that he said or they said last week, where
who's Alex?
Alex was a comment that talked about a redemption house style where if somebody goes off and then comes back in, I have a feeling it's not mercenaries. It's people were thinking that it could be like Cara and Paulie or Kyle coming in to disrupt anything. I think it's I think it's going to be viewed as
Do you think it's
solo
CT and Cara?
I think it's going. So this is the thing. I think it's going to be solo eliminations. And then whoever loses will go out. Their ride or die gets to stay in the game, and then the game is going to come back into pairs. But it's going to be weird because some pairs are not going to have their ride or die. So then TJ's like, tonight's a very special night, and then they bring back whoever was eliminated, and they are going to have to face off against each other to then see who can win themselves back into the house. And if your ride or die doesn't win this elimination, you go out the door with them.
Woof.
That's what I think. My big theory,
terrible.
everybody. That's terrible, but or you have to face off into the elimination with your ride or die partner and try to win both of yourselves back into the game.
So if your ride or die goes out, then the redemption is like, hey, my ride or die got to come here and help me face off against CT and Cara and Maria. And if we are to beat them, we both get to stay in the game.
Pretty much. That's what I think. I don't think it's mercenaries. I just think it's the people that were eliminated coming back to try to win back into the game. Because we do hear from TJ at one point saying, you don't have a partner and you can't go any further in this game during the preview. So at some point they will be back into that pairs.
Because of an injury?
But that's later on in the game. So they go back into pairs at some point. So it doesn't. I just don't know. I don't know if they're going to swap into it. I just don't know if it's mercenaries. But my big theory is that the whole walk back in is not mercenaries. It's just the people who are eliminated come back into the game. And
so you don't think that there's any mercenaries? Okay, sorry. Because I was trying to look at the physique of the person, and it didn't seem like somebody that I recognized from this season, personally.
Yeah, I don't know. They did a great job in this teaser trailer. One, it's only a minute. Normally they do like a minute and a half. So they only did a minute, and they do a lot of weird angles, and they blur out a lot of it so that way you can't see the names or
like who's barfing. Why doesn't Olivia have a nosebleed? Why does Nany have a neck brace? Like,
yeah, they do a really decent job at not giving away too much. But then in the same fact, my brain just keeps going, and I'm like, I feel like I could figure this out if I watch it a couple more times.
Probably. Maybe. All right. So now we had our little aside. Who are you picking next?
I will pick an easy one, and that is going to be Bananas, and we're going to put him in Cake because he is going nowhere. You think he's going somewhere? He ain't going nowhere. He's in a really good position. Nobody's going to send him out. Nobody's going to put him in. I have a feeling. And I think he's just going to be looked at as an asset. And then on the opposite team, they're going to want to keep him. So, yeah.
He's not stirring any pots here this episode. I agree with you. He is suffocating in Cake here. I think he's ahead of Casey for the fact that he's on Fessy's team, and like Fessy was choosing people that he really felt would get him a lot of wins. And so I do feel as though those being his first guy and girl picks, that he values both of those players and he wants to see them in the game to keep their team strong. So I don't see him going anywhere. And I agree. There's enough people on the other side, other than maybe Devin. Oh no, Devin's on his side, so yeah, it doesn't even matter. No, Devin is not. Devin is probably the only person that would be like, let's get him out because, like, you know, we want to have another chance of winning. But
yeah,
I think that he's insulated, suffocating in Cake week after 100%. His birthday. Okay, so since we're talking about him, we got to talk about her, which is Nany. Is Nany built for comfort? Like, I don't know what's happening here with Nany. I mean, she's also really well insulated, obviously. She's insulating those two in suffocating in Cake. She didn't really do anything this episode other than like listen to Tori talk about Jordan. I'm bored right now by Nany. I'm gonna put her You can convince me otherwise, but I think she's built for comfort, and she's part of the Clark Furniture Company this episode. Why won't she move?
I mean, when taking a look at what's going on, I mean, I would sandwich her right in between Bananas and Casey, in my opinion. I mean,
know.
there's nobody. I mean, with Bananas and Casey on the opposite team, like she's not going anywhere. She's well insulated on the opposite end. She has Jordan, Kenny, Horacio seems really smitten by her and Bananas. Amber loves Nani, apparently, at least from what they seem to have a decent connection. I think that Nani, who is pretty frustrating, I'm sure very frustrated now that she split up from yet another really good partner, since War of the Worlds one, it happened to her, and then here it happened to her. I think a case could be made for Pop Balloon, but I also think that she's in a pretty decent spot to where she doesn't really have to worry all that much. So I would put her sandwich in between her Boo and her Banana.
Boo and Banana. Well, I was just trying to be controversial, but I agree. I agree that that's where she should be. Obviously, if like her ride or die and her ride or die in real life are suffocating in Cake, she also is suffocating in Cake because she has both of them protecting her. And so if they're going to be well insulated, it's partially because of her. And I think that it's all of them kind of working together that's going to keep them insulated. So I do think that the three of them are in a similar situation and they're protecting each other equally. So yeah, she's sandwiched in there between Boo and a Banana. Agreed. Who's next?
Nice.
I
actually am super happy to talk about this couple separate now, because for weeks I've been going back and forth between where to put both of them when they were paired up together. But now I'm glad we get to talk about them separately. Let's talk about Jordan first. And I want to put him in Pot Stir. He is looked at as a giant asset on his team. He's looked at as a giant threat from the other team, but he's so good in eliminations that you don't even worry about it. And you're more worried about the other team having to face off against him if they were to lose. I just think he's in a really good spot all the way around. Yes, his name could be called down there, but I'm not worried about seeing him down there in elimination, especially by himself. I think he is going to be someone hard to beat. I think now solo-wise, in eliminations, he's even that much stronger. And I think in dailies, he's going to be looked at as a strong leader in a team full of people that want to listen to him and would work well with him. So I just think that he's up at the top somewhere, but I'll put him at Pot Stir for now.
I could take him at Pot Stir for the fact that he thought that it was a good idea for him to be cuddling up with Nurys in front of his ex-fiance. The fact that he thinks that she should be okay with seeing that in front of her face. I know he's kind of correlating it to like, well, I had to see her do it on national television. But like he didn't have to be in that same house with her at the time when she's doing that. So I don't think it's the exact same situation at all. But I think the fact that he's doing it is definitely pot stirring. That is going to create some sort of turmoil. Absolutely. That's probably going to take Nurys out of this game. Most likely because Tori has more friends than Nurys does right now. And Nurys is a small girl. And I think most of the women can take her in anything physical. So knowing how the eliminations usually go, I think that she's going to be losing. So yeah, I think Jordan is stirring the pot here as well.
Agreed.
Okay. Aneesa, I think, is the number one scapegoat. We hear that the reason why she was put on, like, I think, what is her name? Mariah. She said that she wanted, she didn't want to have both the reason why she took Jordan first is so that she wouldn't have both Kenny and Aneesa on her team. So they really want to anchor the other team with Aneesa. Like, and I think it's going to work for them. If it's anything like even the last season's finals, 37's final, where they were in those two small teams, like she would be a huge anchor for the team that had her in a final or the beginning stages of a final. So I think that she is going to be thrown in any chance that they can get. They're going to want to get her off the team, and Mariah's team is going to want to keep her on the team. So I just think that she is going to be a scapegoat for the rest of the season. Pretty much after, is she gonna be out first? Olivia's probably gonna be out first, and then I think it would be her. I think she's going in every time.
I actually think that she should be put in the tier below this one with Pop Balloon, because she is losing her partner, and biggest threat that people look at her with is Jordan. I mean, I think people were not wanting to send her into elimination because she's tied to Jordan. But like you were saying, if her own team can vote, I think there would be a push maybe to vote in Aneesa before Olivia with some. And I think some people would be like, let's throw in Olivia instead of Aneesa. But I think Pop Balloon, I think, is more because the challenges that they came close to winning or did win, mainly Jordan was the component of that whole situation. And I think Jordan was the one saving her from being really looked at as somebody to be worried about going to elimination. Now, if this is an All-Stars, now think about this. If this is an All-Stars and somehow the other team votes in Tori to go into elimination, would not happen. But just thinking about Tori being down on the zone floor and getting to choose her opponent, would she choose Olivia? Would she choose Aneesa? Or would she choose Casey? I mean, that's going to be a rock and a hard place.
I think she'd go Olivia for the fact that she has lost to Aneesa before, and obviously they're best friends. So
I'm sure she would pick Olivia, but that is such such a hard decision to make if I'm Tori. And then what if Olivia's gone and now Tori has to pick between Casey and Aneesa? Like, how difficult would that be? Just a rock and a hard place. But
she should pick Casey and hope that she can knock Casey out, because I would way rather run a final with Aneesa if I was a girl.
Or she pulls bananas and asks Aneesa to fall on her sword in the elimination and say, I'll give you a kickback of whatever I get if I get any money, kind of vibe. Like,
I mean, maybe that's their deal.
That's what he did with Mark and X's. So that's what, like, to get to that finals after that final elimination. But I just think that her balloon is popped after now having to be kind of it's pretty much teams and dailies, and then you're kind of on your own, and how well do you have connections on the other team and this team on your own team to stay out of eliminations. And now it's a solo kind of vibe of you have to go in there and earn your spot. Yes, she has 11 wins, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little nervous for Aneesa. I mean, I'm not nervous for Aneesa.
I'm feeling generous, and I'm going to side with you here because I can see.
You don't have to feel generous. You can do kickback.
I mean, I do think that she was better insulated with having Jordan as a partner and somebody that she could be like I expect him to do really well, and he pushes me to do a little bit better. And so it's kind of like with this twist, someone stole her toys and knocked her ice cream out of her hand because like she had a really great partner and she's not great by herself. She, as usual, she'll probably make it to right before the final and then go into elimination and be sent home. So I can agree with you here that she could be knocked down a peg. Just one peg.
Okay.
Who do you got?
We can go through these pretty quickly, I feel. And I'm gonna say that let's go with Olivia first. And I'm gonna say that's scapegoat. Like, she's a scapegoat.
Where did she sit?
100%. I think that she is probably at the bottom end of this. Just because she is a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
She is one of the only rookie women on her team, it looks like. So that does not fare well. She's also been in 3 other eliminations. She's been nominated for 4. And I just think that that's now that there's two teams that it's just going to be a cycle of
she's gone
at this point.
She is like, I mean, depends on how well they do, obviously, but like I think that the first time that her team loses, she'll be going in for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Faux show.
Faux show. Yeah, there's no disagreement here. I wouldn't say that someone stole her toys, because the fact that like she's had to be fighting this whole time that she's been here, and she kind of is the scapegoat all the time. It's like, even with Nelson, like he's like, oh, like I want to preserve my relationship with Fessy more than I care about my relationship with you. Sorry, and he just throws her in there. So I think that nobody really feels bad about throwing her in, because they don't really have that strong of a relationship with her. So I mean, I think that she's going to come back and she's going to be able to develop some new relationships and maybe start a new group of people to work together. But this season, this episode, scapegoat for Olivia for me as well. Horacio. I think Horacio, I think I would have put him in a lower tier. I think I want to put him here, and because he kind of was pouting a little bit with like not doing well, and how he was reacting to not doing that well in the mini final, and hearing about how he responded when he was younger to losing soccer games and stuff like that. It does seem like someone took his toys, and how he reacts to certain situations is like he's been done hard by and he's the victim. And so I feel like that's kind of like a little bit of a victim spot. And so he's at the front end of it, just because I do think that he's very likely to be a scapegoat. But yeah, I think that he had a better setup with Olivia. Now that he's by himself, he doesn't communicate or talk enough to be able to put himself in a really good situation. And I think he's just going to be most likely fighting to stay in each round.
I actually think that this split could help them both kind of get better. And maybe this is like the absence makes the heart grow fonder with Horacio and Olivia, because I think they hit a boiling point where Horacio wanted to go faster. He wanted to go stronger. He wanted to, and we heard from Olivia that cardio is just not her thing, where I think Horacio, it is his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to push himself, and he wants to see where he stacks up with players like Jordan and Nelson and Fessel. But he is going to be thrown in over and over and over again. My initial take would be scapegoat in this sense. And I almost think that he would even be right behind Nelson at that section, that I think when it comes down to it, he is going to be looked at as an asset. And I think Devin would not want to be thrown in against Horacio. I think Horacio, I would love to see an elimination, not necessarily, because I think they're two really strong players, but against Jordan and Horacio, I would love to see in a physical elimination, just because I view them very similarly in a lot of different aspects. And I would like to see where they would stack up with each other with Horacio and Jordan. But we'll see. We'll see how it's going to go. I can see where you're coming from. I would just put my own 2 cents in saying scapegoat, but I can see both being viable options at the end of the day.
Audience, chat, what's your thoughts here? I mean, I see your point. Obviously, he will be a scapegoat. He will be thrown in over and over again. Absolutely. I just think that how he handles defeat, and I think that, like you're saying that you think this might be good for them potentially, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to stand alone. Like, I feel like he's just like, maybe he could, maybe his strong point was working in partnership, and so maybe he would do better on his own.
It's really difficult to know because, again, 2 of their 3 eliminations have technically an asterisk next to it because of the help kind of vibe. So it's like, we don't know if they would have won those 2, who was the stronger player in those, because they were getting so much help. They were so much team based. So it's going to be difficult to know where they stand solo wise as well. So that's what I think what makes this harder is like trying to figure out where they stand solo wise if they were to face off into elimination. But we know it's coming. We know it's coming.
Well, I guess we know though that he's probably going to take out at least one person, right? I think.
Kenny.
We can't guarantee that Olivia is going to take out at least one person. Yeah, going against Tori, Casey, or Anissa. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe Anissa, but like maybe not. Okay. Scapegoat it is.
This was a hard one. I said it was easy, but it's gonna be a hard one.
Lies. Tell me some lies. All right. Let's go next with Tori. I want to put Tori in stirring the pot there with her ex-boo, Jordan. She mentions that she can be spiteful. And I don't think that they would allow us to see that if it wasn't going to hold any weight. And so I think that she's kind of stirring the pot. It's a little bit unintentional, but we do see in the preview for the rest of the season her having a conversation with Nurys. So it doesn't look like this is going to be a one and done conversation about Jordan. And I think it's going to cause for some mess. So yeah, I think stirring the pot, and I think just behind Jordan, because Jordan was a little bit more like giving zero fucks. And Tori was a little bit more just responding, but I think it's stirring the pot.
I agree. 100% agreed. And I agree with the placement behind Jordan for the sole fact of where they were picked, where they were picked. And Jordan, I think, will be looked at maybe more as an asset on his team that maybe will help maybe insulate him a little bit more, whereas Tori was picked last and was seen as the cherry on the top. But you pick off that cherry when you're eating a sundae. I don't know how everybody else eats, but I eat it where I eat the cherry first and then discard whatever is remains. So who's to say Tori may not be possibly be thrown in earlier instead of later on as seen on her team wherever she was picked / not picked, because she didn't need to be picked. She was just kind of sent over.
Discarded.
Yeah.
Dolores is here. Late. It's okay. Anytime. We came at an earlier time today, so we understand. Dolores was going to suggest a tier called Wait, You're Here? Yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely going to probably, depending on what happens with Kenny next episode, I think it might be a specifically Kenny branded tier coming soon. But right now, he's just in the Clark Furniture Company tier. But Wait, You're Here is pretty good.
Yeah, 100%.
Like the fact that your sister doesn't remember you, like that's bold. All right, so you have Devin.
I would put Devin in the cake category, suffocating in cake, but at the kind of maybe towards the end, I think he's going to be looked at as an asset. I think he's going to be looked at as a leader with a lot of big ideas for his team that could help out his team. But I think his team is a little bit more, stacked up with on the guy side. Once Kenny leaves, I mean, you got three kind of heavy hitters with Jordan, Devin, and Horacio. And it depends, I think, very big on what type of elimination it is. Because it's going to be, if it's brain-based, I think I give the edge to Devin and Jordan. And if it's physical-based, I would give the edge to Jordan and Horacio, possibly. Devin has been holding his own in some of these daily challenges. But when it comes to eliminations, solo wise, we'll have to see how he stacks up, but I'll put him in cake because he has friends on both sides, but we'll see how it goes. I just don't know if I can give him pot stirring.
No, he didn't stir the pot really this episode. And he was chosen almost last. But I do think that he's going to be a big asset to Mariah's team. I think that Fessy made a mistake and taking Nelson over Devin. I think that that's what the pick was, because yes, I know that Nelson, like he kind of had to take Nelson because of their friendship or trying to rebuild their friendship or whatever. But I do think that Devin, he's not as physically strong as Nelson, but he's smarter and better at puzzles and better at, getting ideas together and figuring things out. And I think he would have been a better asset for Fessel than Nelson would be because he's a little more well-rounded. So I do think that Devin is going to be an asset to Mariah's team, and I think we're going to be surprised that Mariah's team is going to do as well as they are going to do because Devin's going to be the bananas of that team and find the loophole and find how to get the win. So I'm not counting Mariah's team out, just because I think that they have some smarts on there. And I agree with you. I think Suffocating and Cake, I don't think he's the scapegoat because I don't think that he's going to be thrown in first or second. But after Horacio or Kenny goes, I do think that he would be next up. But I mean, this teams are so small that it doesn't really matter. So yeah, Suffocating and Cake is where I would put him. Also, he didn't stir the pot this episode.
No. But doesn't mean that he can't stir the pot when the teams get going. Because I don't know. I think I wouldn't put it past Devin to try to like throw his weight around. But then again, in the preview, Bananas is going to try to get Devin sent in.
Yeah,
he does say something about Devin.
He has to, because Devin is going to be the person that is going to be their edge, right?
I would think so.
Like,
we do have a lot of brains on this team, so I mean, if there's a puzzle or having to work in teams and try to figure out a team-based puzzle, I mean, Devin has an edge on that side. I think.
Like it would be Anissa pretty much. Like being the brains of that side. And maybe Fessy, I don't really know how smart he is. Yeah,
he's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's stronger than most of the people on his team. So him and Anissa are the best at puzzles on their team. And everybody on the other team, for the most part. I mean, I don't know anything about Kenny. Jordan's decent. Nani sometimes is good, but I think that she gets intimidated with her partners because I think that she would be able to figure some of these things out, but she allows Johnny to snow like bulldozer. Amber's not good, obviously. Nurys is good. Horacio, I'm not sure. Devin is good. So they have a lot more people that are decent or good at puzzles on that side, and so yeah. I don't know if like people are saying that Fessel's team is so stacked. I don't know if it's that stacked.
We'll have to wait and see. I think there's definitely pros and cons to both, but I don't know. I don't know if it's as well-rounded as he thinks it is. He keeps on saying well-rounded, like his team is like the most well-rounded. I think his team has a lot of experience, but with experience comes baggage. But with experience also comes possible help in daily challenges. But I don't know. There's a lot to go. We could go on for hours about like pros and cons of both teams, but I just don't know if we see a clear-cut winner, as some would make us suggest in confessionals and all that stuff.
Exactly. All right. Well, speaking of the trending name of the week, we got Fessy and Mariah left. So where are you putting? I guess we're going to start with Mariah, I'm assuming, right? Or it's Fessy, whatever you want.
No, it's this one's difficult because I feel like both could go into multiple different clubs, especially from mixing this episode to seeing what could possibly be done in the future. I want to start with Mariah, and I want to put her. I mean, I want to put her in scapegoat at this point because she does do well in this challenge, but when push comes to shove, I mean, I feel like we're going to see Mariah versus Nurys early on if it comes down to it. I don't think they have a lot of insulation. I could also see her being put in. I personally don't see it, but I think people could see it as her balloon being popped because of not being connected with Fessel. I could see that as possibly as a actual thing, like a good thing in certain aspects, but also I could see maybe them being kept out of eliminations because of her partner in Fessel. And so I could see her being either scapegoat or balloon being popped, but I don't know. Maybe I'll lean towards balloon being popped and see what you would say.
Okay, I'm gonna start from the top and go down. I can see her being queen for the day. I really liked how she kind of stood up to Fessel and just was kind of like, I thought we're coming in here and we're gonna try to make it the best for both of us, but you just want to make it good for you. And he's kind of like, I brought you into this. And I just like that she held her own. And like, I think that she would be somebody that people would want to run the final with. She's kind of like an Amber 2.0 in the sense that she's quiet. Nobody really knows like what she's capable of, but if she has the right partner in the final, I think that she could win it. And so I don't necessarily see the other team trying to get rid of her, because obviously Bananas is somebody that is going to be protecting her and would more likely want to run the final with her. Maybe even over Nany. Like, I just don't think he's going to be wanting to get rid of her. So I kind of want to put her for queen for the day, because like she didn't allow Fessy to kind of walk all over her. Did I lose Drew?
I mean, it's either going to be, if we're looking directly at this one specific episode, I could see queen for the day. But if we're looking for where she stacks up in the team wise, it's going to be difficult. So, I mean, I would be willing to give her queen for the day.
She got to choose the teams, you know what I mean? And so that she was in the queen position this episode.
I could see that. I don't know if she was, I don't know how much of, like, she did step to Fessy, but it's going to be difficult. It's really difficult to, like, yes, she got to choose the teams. But with us not knowing how realistically the teams were picked and the coin toss going Fessel's way, I really wish she would have gotten to be able to have her first pick, because then she would have been able to have to maybe take it to Fessel a little bit more. But I'll also come to queen for the day, and then we can assess further on.
Yeah, so next week is next week. But for this week, I did. Yeah, so Lauren also says I'd like her to be queen for the day. If only so she's ahead of Fessy in the rankings. Will she be? Well, where are we going to put Fessel? Oh, dearie me. So yes, let's get Mariah up there, queen for the day. Fessy. Do we put him at the front of suffocating in cake? Do we put him at stirring in the pot? Because like he really made he ruined his relationship with his ride or die. Like I really hope that the ride or die comes into play, and like Mariah at some point has to decide whether he stays or goes or something, because he treated her like such garbage. But it is stirring the pot to a certain degree. How he handled that deliberation, he was definitely being quite messy. So yeah, I would put him in front of Jordan and Tori and stirring the pot.
I mean, if we're giving Mariah queen for the day, I would have to give Fessel queen for the day. He got to pick the teams. I mean, if we're gonna, I only think it's fair if we're giving it to him, giving it to her for winning the daily challenges and having the opportunity to pick the team. And I would give it to him as well. I think if people are saying he has the better team, at least inside the edit, we're going to have to give it to Fessel for queen for the day and being able to choose the teams and choosing a pretty decent size, a decent team when it comes to looking at least stats and what they look like on paper. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm taking personal feelings out of it, because if I had my own way and I didn't care about teams and what's going on inside the edit and everything, but being able to choose the teams, winning the challenge, and possibly having a decent, like, I don't know, role on the team, I would have to give it to Fessel for being queen for the day.
All right, but he's behind Mariah because I can't stand him to see him at the front position. Will you settle for that?
I mean, I don't want an uprising of people, so I mean, I'll give it. I'll settle for behind Mariah because I want Mariah to have good vibes going forward.
JL, I've succumbed. Drew's rationale is sound. So fine, Fessy goes up there, and our compromise is that Mariah can position him. All right. Well, that is our new tiers. We figured it out. We made it work. We'll see obviously how things go down in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I'm liking it. That was fine. Worked out.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how it. Just like how we didn't know how to do the power rankings or how it was going to look at the beginning of this season, I think we found our way, and now we're just having to pivot, and we'll figure it out moving forward after that.
Oh shoot! I realized that I didn't also. Okay, I got to re-upload for our draft because I forgot that they're separate again. Okay, so while you talk about
not for now.
Pardon?
You don't need to change anything because nobody really went home.
Oh, that's true.
We're on the same team.
Oh yeah, we don't need to move anything, so we don't need to look at
not for
it.
now.
Okay,
not for now.
No. Okay, let's go. Tell me how we're doing now.
For now, I can say that everybody was in positive and kind of made a change. Everybody made a change in the right direction. Let's say for the number 3 spot, Team Chantele. I'm sorry, Chantele, you're still in the 3rd spot, but you went up 35 points this past week, and you went from 221 to 256, but it still kept you in the 3rd spot here. For the 2nd place, I'm sorry, I'm kind of like, I don't know why my eyes can't see real closely, but let's say for number 2, 2nd place, we have Team Chris going from 324 to 370 because of Fessy and Mariah winning. He gets big points. So he only has 2 teams, but he's still in the 2nd spot for now. And still in 1st place is me, Team Drew, and I have let's just say I'm in 1st place. We don't have to go over points.
I hate you.
We don't have to go over points. We don't have to go over points.
I hate you.
But we're in 1st place.
Whatever. I lost this one. Whatever.
We don't know that. Chris only has 2 team members. If he loses a good amount of people, I mean, we didn't put a lot of his people. Well, we put 2 of his people very high in the rankings, but put 2 of his people lower in the rankings, and we'll see how it's going to go.
Yeah, I'm not happy about this. Whatever. Fine. Let's see if I can make up 250, like double my points in the next 12 weeks. We'll see what happens.
We shall see.
So I didn't really fully fledge out a game, but we'll just see what happens. So I was just looking at the challenge 38 hashtag on Twitter, and so we're just going to kind of see who people are talking about, and I'm just going to omit some names, and you're just going to fill in the blanks if that's something that you don't mind doing. How do you feel?
Okay,
you're in.
Yeah.
All right. So Ashley Darby Stan account at Dead Ting TV tweeted, "Why would blank think he's at the skill level of blank or blank? Or even better, confidence doesn't include being delusional. Hashtag the challenge 38. Who are the names in the blanks?"
Fessel, I'm sure, is the people are talking about, and on the level of, I'm gonna say Jordan and Bananas.
Good job. You definitely got that correct. Those were who people were talking about. All right. So Jordan at Jordan VR tweeted, If I was blank, I would have been petty and took blank after blank took blank. It's hard.
I would have picked, if I was Mariah, I would have picked Nelson after Fessel took bananas.
Yes. Did you read this tweet, or are you just you're on fire?
I just went with what I would have said in that scenario.
I think that was this typo. So Reality Radio Pod tweeted, "You, sir, they are better runners. Blank and blank were leading the pack last challenge. All they have to do is eliminate blank, which I don't want to see happen because I love blank."
Nelson and Nurys were up at the front of the pack, and they just need to take out Fessel and Mariah, but I don't want to see them take out Fessel and Mariah. I love Mariah.
You started off good, but no. Fessy and Nelson were leading the pack last challenge. All they have to do is try to eliminate Anissa, which I don't want to see happen because I love Anissa. But you started on the right track.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that.
This has to be the joke. Who the F is picking blank? That was by Rookie Queen at LIV Barbie Beast.
This has to be a joke. Who the X is? Are they talking about Amber being picked?
No, it was actually Tori that they were talking about here. It was like a tweet on a tweet, though. That was a little bit more challenging.
That wasn't my personal thing. I just know people were shocked that Amber was picked so high. So that's why I'm just putting a disclaimer. I think Amber is a good pick.
Why are people coming for you? So I'm not on that page to see what they're saying in the
No. I'm not looking at chat. I don't want, but I'm just saying people were shocked at how high Amber was being picked.
Yes, I know. Just teasing ya. Mental Hell at Angel O Mercy. I like blank as a challenger, and I think she could do well in a final and possibly even win. But I need her to get up out this house for the sake of blank and blank, like ASAP. # the challenge 38.
Nurys, Tori, Jordan.
Ding, ding, ding. You got it. Pretty clear that blank only rides for himself and brought that girl here specifically to die for him. LOL. Once a snake, always a snake. And that was at Jazz_personality.
I'm going to assume Fessel.
Yes. He said Fessy. At Cas403 tweeted, Tori had oh shit. Never mind. Oops a daisy. Okay. So Cas403 tweeted, I respect blank for trying to avoid being spiteful, but watching blank would be tough to experience firsthand and not be able to escape.
I'm going to say Tori for not wanting to be spiteful, but seeing Jordan would be difficult.
You got it. All right, this one will be a little bit harder. So at Yemstar14 tweeted, sorry, blank and blank are strong athletes and smart. Blank can run. Blank has proven she can keep up. So has blank. Blank is smart and in better shape. Blank is quiet, but still here. Like, this team is strong.
There's a Casey in there, and one Anissa, and an Olivia and Tori.
You're on the wrong team. So this was sorry.
Okay.
Jordan and Horacio are strong athletes and smart. Amber can run. Nurys has proven she can keep up. So has Mariah. Devin is smart and in better shape. Kenny is quiet, but still here. Like, this team is strong.
I went the wrong team.
Yeah, wrong
completely.
team. I just find a couple more. Just for the fun of it. Blank is freaking crying? Is this guy serious?
Definitely Fessel.
Yes. I don't know if you'll get this one. Muscles popping, me likey, blank, me likey.
Chauncey.
Nelson.
Oh. My brain instantly went to Chauncey when I heard muscles popping.
I mean, just have muscles popping. Let's see if I have a couple more here. Oh boy. Blank has been partners with the best of the best and still hasn't won. LOL. Girl, it's time to hang it up.
I'm going to say Anissa.
Nani.
Really? It could have been said for both.
For sure, but they didn't. Okay, so Key Mukwevko tweeted, okay, but why am I low-key rooting for blank to fall in love with blank?
Nelson to fall in love with Olivia?
No, Tori to fall in love with Devin.
No, thank you.
They would not be a good match at all, in my opinion.
No.
This challenge was made for blank. Sad face, sad face, sad face, sad face. I miss blank so much.
Landon.
No, it was Jay.
Oh.
Jay. Anything else here? Why do I sense blank being betrayed again?
Nelson.
Yes, correct. You are correct. I think that's all that I have for you today. K-Light says, blank speaks like a robot.
Kenny?
Mariah, I haven't heard this really, but I'm people have been saying that actually.
I think she I could see it. Now that you mention it, I think I could see it, yeah.
I think that's all I got for you, Drew, but you did quite well. Thank you for participating. I know you get stressed out for these, and I enjoy it a lot. So what do you have going on? Oh my god, we're so late. We end up I guess that we had more teams to go through. People.
True. And we had a lot to say about the twist and stuff. I got challenge review and recaps on Thursdays, Fridays, tiny table talks, a short on Monday, or no, Tuesday. Shorts on Tuesday, a challenge short on Tuesday, and an edited version of this power rankings. I got bigger projects that I'm trying to get out for January and also try to relax a little bit this holiday season and hang out with friends and family before the start of the new year. And I'm just going to be jamming out to a whole bunch of videos and edits. So yeah, I'm taking it kind of easy in December to get a real big start on 2023. So that's all I got planned for weeks going forward.
Cool. Natalie's telling us like Circle Cast is out. I heard that I saw one person on it, which is Brett from Big Brother 20. That's the only person I've seen so far, and I'm already disappointed. So I was like, if that's indicative of who they chose. Sorry? You don't watch Circle?
I'm not a huge fan of the Circle anyways.
I mean, I watch it.
It's lost
I've covered it a couple times, but I really don't care about him. So we'll see if they have some better other picks. But I was never a fan of him on season 20. So I don't know if I'm going to be a fan of him here. will you guys be recapping Traders UK? I watched the first 4 episodes and I loved it. I loved it. I'm trying to figure out a way to recap the US season that's starting mid-January, because I don't know if I want to do it like just a recap or if I want to make videos about it. So I've been watching UK and Australia just to see if I can figure out a new way to kind of bring some content around Traders. But I love the UK so far, and yeah, they're both very entertaining. So Drew, I would suggest that you watch those. If you wanted to cover one of those with me, I would.
I need to check it out because I did see Cody was going to be on a Traders, so
that'll be in January. But yeah,
okay.
I'll send you some links to watch the UK. I watched 4 episodes right back to back because it was that good. So I would love for you to be on the bandwagon as well. Oh, of course, yes, Marvin. Well, Marvin actually was cast, and then the alternate was, I believe, Joseph.
Yeah.
But yes, I did see him as well. Yeah, not great. Cody Calafiore is going to be on the cast of Traders US starting January 16th, I believe. It is going to be half regular people, half reality stars. So hopefully they just get him out right away and then they don't make him a traitor so that he's on the whole season, which would really annoy me. So we'll see what's going down. Yes, please, everybody, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Also subscribe, of course, to Angelcake Entertainment channel as well. Like this video. Let us know how you feel about our tiers. I know it was a little bit wonky just because it's a little bit new format. We don't know how the twist is going to play out. We don't know how these teams are going to play out. So we're kind of going in slightly blind here with using our previous tiers with our new format, but seems to work so far. Let us know if you have any thoughts or any new tiers that need to be in there, and we'll workshop them and see if we can switch out some of these tiers for next week. But other than that, everybody in the chat, you guys are amazing. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next week. Bye.